Every time you send a message on Instagram or WhatsApp, it doesn't just magically appear on the other side of the world. It actually travels thousands of kilometers through physical cables lying at the bottom of the ocean. Not satellites, not some invisible cloud, real wires under the sea. Most people think the internet is completely wireless, like everything is floating around us in the air. But the reality is very different. Over 95% of global internet traffic is carried by something called submarine communication cables. These cables connect entire continents, including India, to the rest of the world. So in this video, we're going to break down exactly how these cables work, how your data travels inside them, and what really happens behind the scenes every time you go online. These underwater cables are not simple wires. They are highly advanced fiber optic systems designed to survive extreme ocean conditions. At the center of the cable are ultra-thin strands of glass, thinner than a human hair, known as optical fibers. Around these fibers are multiple protective layers, including waterproof gel, insulation, and steel armor to handle deep-sea pressure and physical damage. The entire cable ends up being about as thick as a garden hose, but inside it is where the real magic happens. Now here's the interesting part. Your data does not travel as electricity through these cables. It travels as light. Using a technology called fiber optics, lasers send pulses of light through the fiber. Each pulse represents binary data, ones and zeros. When you send a message, it is converted into electrical signals, then into light pulses, which travel across oceans through these cables at nearly the speed of light. Once it reaches the destination, it gets converted back into electrical signals and finally into the message you see on your screen. But these cables don't just appear on the ocean floor. Special ships are used to carefully lay them across thousands of kilometers. Engineers first map out safe routes across the ocean, avoiding hazards like underwater mountains or earthquake zones. Then, ships slowly release the cable into the water. In deep ocean areas, the cable simply rests on the seabed. But near coastlines, where there is more risk of damage from anchors or fishing activity, the cables are actually buried under the ocean floor for protection. Now you might be wondering, if light is traveling such huge distances, won't the signal become weak? And the answer is yes, it does. That's why these cables have devices called repeaters placed every 50 to 100 kilometers. These repeaters amplify the light signal and keep it strong as it continues its journey across the ocean. Without them, your data wouldn't even make it across one continent. A lot of people assume satellites are responsible for global internet, but that's not really true. Satellites are slower, more expensive, and have higher latency because signals have to travel all the way to space and back. Undersea cables, on the other hand, are much faster, more efficient, and capable of handling massive amounts of data. That's why major companies like Google and Meta invest billions of dollars into building and maintaining their own global cable networks. But despite how powerful this system is, it is also surprisingly fragile. These cables can be damaged by ship anchors, fishing nets, underwater earthquakes, and in some cases, even intentional sabotage. If a major cable gets cut, entire regions can experience slow internet speeds or even complete outages. Data then has to reroute through other longer paths, which makes everything slower. The crazy part is, the internet isn't actually wireless at all. It's physical. Your messages literally travel under oceans. There is no magical cloud, just cables connecting the world. And something as simple as a damaged cable can affect millions of people at once. So at the end of the day, most of the internet runs through cables deep under the ocean. Your data travels as light, not electricity. These cables connect continents, rely on repeaters to keep signals alive, and are far more important than satellites. And even though they power the entire world, they remain one of the most vulnerable parts of our global infrastructure. If you found this interesting, imagine what would happen if all these underwater cables suddenly stopped working. Drop a comment if you want that video next. And subscribe, because we're breaking down the kind of technology that most people use every day but never actually understand.